Relatives of two hostages rescued overnight from Gaza have appealed to the Israeli government to form an agreement with Hamas to secure the release of other captives. At least 130 hostages are understood to remain in the enclave. The raid on a building in Rafah in southern Gaza was supported by airstrikes and shelling across the densely populated city. From occupied East Jerusalem, Randolph Nogel reports.
An emotional homecoming following more than 4 months in captivity in Gaza. The rescue of 61-year-old Fernando Marman and 70-year-old Louis Har was conducted by Israeli security forces under the cover of darkness. They were kidnapped on October 7th by Hamas fighters from a kibbutz in southern Israel.
At 1:49 in the morning, special forces broke into a building in the heart of Rafah. There, on the second floor, Louis and Fernando were held by Hamas.
Following exchanges of gunfire, they were evacuated and flown directly to a medical center in Tel Aviv. The Israeli military says it launched a wave of attacks in Rafah, where more than 1.4 million Palestinians are sheltering. In coordination with the rescue, dozens of Palestinians were killed in strikes there overnight. Israel's government is promising to bring back the other 134 hostages still being held in Gaza. Protesters, including families of the hostages, are holding regular demonstrations, criticizing the government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for apparently being unwilling to strike a deal with Hamas to secure their release.
Right now, the situation for me is that the cabinet, the Prime Minister, is giving up on my family and the rest of the hostages.
Well, it's been more than 10 days since the US, Qatar, and Egypt put together a proposal that would see the release of hostages in exchange for a humanitarian truce. But so far, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has refused to make any concessions and has vowed to continue the war against Hamas, angering the families worried for their loved ones in Gaza.
But I must say that the job is not done. We are happy today, but it's not we didn't win. It's just another step towards bringing all the other 134 hostages back home.
Hamas says if Israel pushes ahead with its plans to launch a ground invasion in Rafah, negotiating for hostages will be off the table. Something keeping these protesters up at night, calling for a change in their government. Randolph Nogel, TRT World, occupied East Jerusalem.
Well, let's get more on the developing situation in the Middle East from Mohammed Al-Qasim, who reports from occupied